Good morning, Sandy. We have Sandy Pensler with us this morning, our U.S. Senate candidate. That will be a very important election in August. And Citizens for Traditional Values wanted to be sure and give each of the U.S. Senate candidates an opportunity to share with us where you stand on some very important issues to us and to our listeners and readers. And Sandy, thank you very much for being on with us today.
It's great to be on with you and your audience. Thanks for having me on.
Well, let's just jump in. Right now, as you know, the life issue is tremendously important to us and to most of America, I believe. And as a U.S. Senator, what would you do in your capacity to limit or restrict some of the federal taxpayer-funded money that's going to, for instance, family planning agencies nationally and internationally that promote or perform abortions?
Yeah, I think that's a great question because that's really where the battleground is. It's federal funding dollars.
Right.
And I think when you have as large a percentage of the population, wherever you stand on the abortion issue, and I know where your audience stands, um, and I'm sympathetic to that, federal dollars shouldn't go to fund the destruction of what is almost half the population views as babies. And so the Hyde Amendment, which was even supported vigorously by President Biden back in the day, I think is the appropriate mechanism here. The federal government should not be funding and supporting abortions, period. That's just, I think that's a common sense approach, regardless of where you come out on the issue. I happen to be pro-life in my position, but it doesn't matter. I think if you are trying to listen, which I think we need more of on the issue, it shouldn't be inflamed by using federal dollars to fund this.
Okay.
It just should not.
Thank you. Yep. So on another federal issue, the Department of Education and its role and its authority, as we have seen it expanded exponentially over the years. One of the things that jumped out this year that I wanted to ask you about was the more recent proposal by President Biden to require all schools that accept federal funds require those schools to allow boys to compete in women's sports, allow them to use women's facilities. This would be a change that he proposed to the Title IX rule. And what are your thoughts on that?
Crazy. I mean, the Republican platform just came out, as I'm sure many of your viewers are aware. It had effectively defunding the entire department and going to block grants to states. I think that's the right approach, but on Title IX and how it's enforced, it has just been, I don't want to use vulgarities, backwards, what has been going on. So my daughter has worked very hard to play a varsity sport at a major tier one college. She shouldn't have to play against men. She just should. It is crazy. We have spent 50 years
Right.
trying to build up women's sports. And it's not because, oh, it's the best tennis player, it's the best. It's because women get the same benefits that men get from the experience of competing, of getting down, back up when you're knocked down, and the resiliency about life lessons that it learns. This is crazy.
Right.
And it is, I think, symptomatic of a woke ideology that has lost its way.
So let's move to another issue. Would you agree or disagree that the United States should maintain its sovereignty and decline to sign any agreements or treaties with global agencies? WHO comes to mind without full congressional approval.
Yeah, so I think it's broader than WHO. I think I look at the UN, which in concept is a wonderful institution. in reality has become a mechanism for bashing the United States and Israel,
Yeah.
where over 2/3 of your proclamations are against one democratic country that's in a sea of anti-democracy. It's run amok. And unfortunately, I think it's beyond repair. So I think we have to start over with most of these global institutions. And a lot of globalism is, I think, just other terms for saying anti-American.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, because of that trend, yes, I think it has to be a very strict policy before we enter into any agreements,
Yeah.
because they tend to be anti-American in their fundamental basis at the moment. That doesn't mean we shouldn't enter any agreements, but the bar should be very high before we do.
And that it's not solely a presidential decision, but goes
No,
through
no, because
congressional approval.
for a variety of reasons. One, because they change every 4 to 8 years. Second, the tenor has just become so anti-American. I think the bar should be higher than a presidential decision.
So, on that note, also, how would you address, as a U.S. Senator, the illegal immigration crisis at our southern border?
So I do think this needs Senate involvement. And if you go down to the border, which probably most of the people, Eileen, that you're talking to have gone to border crossings. I went down to the one at Eagle Pass in Texas, and it wasn't shocking to me that the people coming across were coming across where the barbed wire was cut.
Right.
The notion of building a wall kind of works. So I think we have to do that. And I think we can stop illegal immigration stone cold by stopping here in Michigan, for example. We have a whole website called Bridges Michigan. And it's basically geared towards showing illegal immigrants how they can get $500 a month in housing subsidies, how they can sign up and get health and medical care for all their family on the government's back through Medicaid. We need to stop it stone cold. If you're coming in illegally, you don't get anything. We don't give you anything. We try to stop you rather than encourage you. I
Right.
kind of don't blame most of the illegals that are coming over. We're inviting them. We're saying, come on over. We'll give you money. We'll give you health care. We'll give you education. We got to stop it. But I want to make clear, I think we actually need more legal immigration.
Mm-hmm.
Here in Michigan, the legal immigrants that are first generation are probably the ones that are the most adamant about the horrors that come with what's going on in our southern border, primarily southern border.
Well, thank you very much, Sandy, for taking the time today and sharing your thinking and thoughts on these really important issues. I know there are probably,
We could go all
25
day.
more.
Fun.
We could go on. But I will let you go now. We will have your profile and your picture, and people can read that and reach you where?
The best place is at our website, sandypensler.com.
Very
We have
good.
a Twitter site, we have a Facebook site, but the best place is sandypensler.com.
Very
Thanks a
good.
lot, Eileen.
All right. Thank you so much.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
You too.